Hello comic book fans, here's Earl Grey again with another list of my favorite comic books that came out in 2018. This time with my top 10 horror comic books that came out as omnibuy, hardcover, softcover and what have you format. Number 10, it's Joe Gollum, The Outer Dark, written by Christopher Golden and Patrick Reynolds, who does this art which is very photoreferential, and this is a type of comic art that I usually don't like as much as other ways of doing your comic art. But he does this in a very efficient manner, and the more so with the good and part-wise amazing colors of Dave Stewart. The covers by Dave Palumbo are really good as well, of course. Of course, they are photoreferential, but as well, but really pulpy, deliver this pulpy feel that you expect from a book like that. And what I really appreciate is that the artist gives us some photo references, shows us where he the photos that he took to prepare the panels. I would hope some artists would do this more often. But otherwise, it's a very a good, interesting combination of familiar tropes in a bit new way. Not too excited about, but it's a really enjoyable read. Initially, I thought this would rank much higher in my list, the Sixth Gun Volume 5. I thought it would be the wrap-up, the conclusion of this epic, because, yeah, honestly, everyone can see where this story is heading, I think, at least. But it's not the conclusion. They still want to give us number 6, Volume 6, and this is a bit of a disappointment, even though for this time we have soon binding. It was glued binding before, at least with my copies. And amazing storytelling by Colin Bunn, great art by Brian Hurd, and of course the colors by Bill Crabtree are amazing as always. And I hope Mr. Crabtree is listening to this, but I want to do a whole episode about his colors, because I think the colors in this book here transport this comic to another level. But I don't know why they had to stretch out the story that much. I know it's a big success, I think, for Oni Press, but yeah, the filler series with different artists and stuff like that, they don't contribute really to the overall narrative. And it's just stretching out the story for stretching out and deliver us Volume 6 when you could have wrapped this up, to be honest, with Volume 4. So, by the same team of Colin Bunn and Brian Hurd and Bill Crabtree is The Damned. Volume 2 came out 2018, Ill-Gotten. It's a combination of The Godfather with a mob that prays for the souls of their victims, and Hellboy, or of horror, and there's mafia, crime, dark comics. Interesting take, and very fun, and I'm curious about what comes next in this series. So, the next 3 comics, I've spoken about them in a separate video, and my number 7 is Mignola's take on Dracula, and Beautiful Darkness by the team Carrasque. and written by Fabian Wehlmann, is my number 6, and Frankenstein Alive Alive by the wonderful Bernie Wrightson, written by Steve Niles, is my number 5. Yeah, as I said it, I did a separate video about these 3 books. It was titled Wrightson, Mignola and Beautiful Darkness or something like that. So check out that one if you're interested. Number 4 is the collected edition or reprint of the Shaolin Cowboy Star Trek. Written and drawn by the amazing, unbelievable Jeff Darrow. Yeah, nothing to say about this one. It's Jeff Darrow just as its best, his best, like he's always at his best. Fantastic, wonderful book. Number 1 of his Shaolin Cowboy trilogy, so you just have to have this. And on 4, yeah, there's maybe, yeah, the most interesting book in in the series, because it's a real new series for me. For those comic book collectors, this stuff here, Harrow County, is already around since 2016, I guess. But now it's collected in these oversized library editions. This is volume 1, and I can't wait for volume 2. Written again by Colin Bunn, but this time drawn and colored by Tyler Crook. About... Look at this cover here. Maybe the cover of the year. Also done by the main artist, Tyler Crook. And he talks a bit about it being very quickly done, and his best covers are the ones usually that he came up pretty quickly. This is the best friend of the main protagonist in the book here, the skin of a boy, and we have the boy without the skin is the other best friend of a daughter of her, of a witch which was killed by the people in this rural landscape here of Harrow County. And yes, the witch, a daughter, but we very quickly come to know that she has magic abilities which make her a witch, and she has to deal with her sister, some issues and I don't want to tell you more about it. Just, yeah, you have to get this comic here. Look at the art. I think of it as a refined Matt Kindt art. I don't actually want Matt Kindt to refine his art because I like the rawness and unfinishedness of Matt Kindt's art. But yeah, regardless, Tyler Crook takes this kind of art to another level, I think. Especially with his watercolory coloring here. Yeah, wonderful. And to give you the last hint why you should buy this book, look at the cover here. Wonderful. The only thing I have to complain that the binding is soon, but a bit tight, but yeah. Regardless, wonderful comic, and maybe would have been higher in my list if we have already number 2, but so it had to compete with BPRD and Ape Sapien, which make together my rank number 2. Here are the Ape Sapiens, with wonderful comics, again from Tyler Crook, but no, that Tyler Crook guy was in the BPRD, Hell on Earth ones here. And yeah, Ape Sapien, Tyler Crook. A fantastic universe, everything comes together in a really satisfying manner in an end of the world scenario, which feels really real, even though it's so absolutely out there and goofy. But you have the impact that it should have, and most of the comics, to be honest with you, that want to give you this end of the world, everything is at stake, everything is at risk scenario, but they can't deliver that feel. It's still goofy, strange cartooning, and just that. And this is goofy, strange cartooning and has an impact, and characters that you root for, that you can relate to, even though they are monsters and amphibian creatures and stuff. Yeah, for sure, one of my favorite series of all time and everything. And it just can be trumped by Guido Crepax. Don't tell me that you're surprised. But when Fantagraphics does a collection of Crepax stories, and it fits some genre more or less roughly, and Evil Spells is on the surface stuff about horror comics, even though Crepax obviously does the stuff that he usually does. So yeah, and I like his comics immensely. And I really don't know how to do a video about them, just because of the main focus in the Crepax comics, which is his very special, refined way of eroticism, and yeah, that's a bit difficult, but I would find a way to do this, I'm pretty sure. And for this time, I want to thank you for listening and watching, and yeah, goodbye.